This is it. This is the Amazon Kindle Color e-reader, called the Colorsoft. And as Color has been around for nearly as long as Amazon, they're a touch late to the party. With over 23 manufacturers using Color, there's about 70 plus color devices to choose from in today's current landscape. So what makes the Kindle so special? Well, in terms of the screen technology itself, not much. It's using Kaleido 3, 7-inch screen, 300 ppi in black and white, and 150 ppi in color. On the inside, it has a 1700 mAh battery with a dual-core 2 GHz processor and 1 GB of RAM. As it is a clone of the Paperwhite 12th gen, it is currently the fastest e-reader they've ever made, the fastest color e-reader they've ever made, and the first color e-reader they've ever made. Also, you get a very obviously best ecosystem in the entire world with some of the best customer solution integrations like quick setup via sign-in with Kindle, countless subscription and membership services, and you get the safety and security of dealing with Amazon. Free returns, overnight shipping, if not same-day shipping, warranty trade-in programs, and a complete collection of everything you've ever downloaded in the past 15 years. So how does the device look? Manga, PDF, ebooks, here we come. So let's look at the build, shall we? This is a flush screen and bezel, and although has a paper-like appearance to it, it actually has a fairly high level of reflectivity versus something like, say, the Matcha that actually diffuses the light a little bit better. Reason being, it's a sunken screen and bezel, and this one is a flush screen and bezel, so it almost gives you the ability to make out what you're looking at more so than a exposed screen. Exposed screen, there's always factory layers on top, etc. Now the back is very plain, although they do have this kind of nice subtle rainbow flake in the Amazon smiley logo right there, and they have the power button on the bottom. Of course it is color, as we said, this is the color unit. Now something I am personally interested in is this any heavier than the Signature Edition Standard Jade? Let's weigh it right now. This is the Jade 12th generation Signature Edition Paperwhite, coming in at 215. Let's just check. 215. Now, I'm going to assume this is the exact same, unless the color array filter weighs a gram. 219. I wasn't far off in my deduction, so it is heavier by 4 grams. Not the end of the world, but just a fun observation. If you want to see the full Paperwhite video, check the video card up above. But for now, what we're going to do mostly is look at color content. We'll just give you a really quick glimpse, if this is your first time looking at a Kindle ever, what a Kindle's about. It doesn't really have a home screen. Your home screen consists of just the home and library. You can't go any further back than this. You have your library, which is going to have all of your books. Everything has color cover art now. This will not have color cover art if you're getting something like a regular Paperwhite or a Kindle Matcha. You have the store icon right there. That searches for the store, and this is all store related stuff. Really, the only thing that's yours is right there in the middle. That's your stuff. If you go to the settings here, you're going to have various settings, and really just really quick on this one, there's only one thing that the color screen takes advantage of. It is color and brightness, color style. That's it. There's nothing else that they allow you to do, toggle between all the different things. We'll explore this when we get to color images, but it is kind of a missed opportunity to give a color screen and not do anything with it. They didn't give you any toggles or sliders or even a speed mode. There's really just nothing they did with it. If you swipe the top down, you get all settings sync, Bluetooth, airplane mode, and we'll show you the glow light in a little bit as well. You can make the glow light nice and warm, like orange or white or blue. So that's really nice. You also have a light sensor up top because this is the Signature Edition. You can take advantage of the auto brightness, and there's that color style right there. Outside of that, you can basically just click something and start reading, which we're going to show you right now. So what kind of things can we take advantage of when it comes to color content in an ebook? Well, the cover art is color first and foremost. That's amazing because, well, it's the first time it's ever done that. And something else that we can do, which is a great addition and a very obvious addition, is that you get color highlights. So when you highlight something, It starts yellow. You can click on it, click right there, and you have yellow, pink, blue, and orange. This is great because other than technically the Kindle Fire, which is just an Amazon Fire, but they did call it the Kindle Fire early on. Other than that, you've never been able to do this before. So that's awesome. And I would say it looks pretty good. It looks not bad. Now you might be asking why it's so dark, and we'll get into some comparisons with the other Paperwhite in the future in another video, but this is because it's not Amazon's fault, it's the fault of Kaleido. It looks very gray, and it is gray. So what you have to do is you got to turn the glow light on just a little bit. It kind of takes the edge off, and what it does is just kind of makes the colors pop, and every color device kind of needs the same treatment in order to just stop being so dark. You can't really get a good indicator of beiges and oranges and yellows without doing that, but once you do, it adds a little bit of battery consumption, but the payoff is great because now it looks phenomenal. And remember, e-readers use glow light layers that illuminate a gel layer. They don't actually shoot light in your eyes, so it's not any worse than looking at a piece of paper illuminated by the sun. Outside of that, there's really nothing else that the e-reading experience brings to the table. You have all of your fonts, you have your layout, you have more that just has various features, and it's going to be pretty much business as usual. The speed is ridiculously fast because remember, this is the fastest Kindle ever made, period. Technically, this one was advertised as the fastest Kindle ever made, but this is the same thing, so by that logic, it is just as fast. I really do like the color highlights that needs to be, well, highlighted, because it's the only thing that this kind of differs itself in, and to have that is just an amazing addition that we have waited oh so long for. But outside of that, it's just a great reading experience. I mean, Amazon is tried, tested, true. There's really no shortcomings whatsoever. Aside from this being the fastest Kindle ever made, this is also the second largest Kindle ever made, kind of. The Scribe is 10.2, but that's an E-note. The DX is 9.7, but that thing is long gone. This is 7 inches, and it's an ebook reader. It's on par with the Oasis 2 and 3. So this is the largest screen real estate you can get currently on a Kindle outside the Scribe. And I would say PDFs are fine. Now, we finally get that color. That's great, but what else can it do? Can we add any vibrancy boosts or anything like that? And don't worry, we're still going to show you that in a second. But as it stands, we still only have that contrast. But the contrast actually works in the color's favor. This is not a UI-wide contrast. It is just a contrast within the PDF itself, but you can see there with a heavy contrast, it's quite dark. But if we minimize that contrast by a passive movement within the unit, it almost adds a little bit of vibrancy to the PDF itself, which is almost like a little tiny hack we found, but it's almost a cheat because it only works on things that have the contrast control, and that's not device wide. Other than that, it functions as a PDF should. You do have the ability to long press, and you can do those highlights, and you can do translations too. So you can translate from any language to any language you see on the drop down menu. All you would have to do is choose the 2 languages like so, and you would choose your desired language, and you can just translate the entire thing from English to Arabic in about 2 seconds. You need internet for this to work. However, it is cool how it breaks down those barriers. Pinch and zooming is also incredibly increased. And you might say, well, I've seen Onyx do better. Well, you're right, Onyx does it better. But remember, Amazon up until the 3rd Paperwhite couldn't even handle PDFs. It was crashing. There wasn't enough RAM to even handle something with 16 pages. I mean, this is a huge leap in the technology within the Kindle scene that they're able to do this. So PDFs work perfectly fine, and in fact, they're quite functional and never better. Aside from the cover art, manga is 90% never in color. In Japan, that is. There's some interrupting pages with maybe some art or some cell shading examples that have color, but manga is black and white, so once you get out of this actually comes at a detriment to the unit because the whites is a little bit on the gray side on Kaleido devices compared to black and white centric units, and that you can't leverage color moving forward is almost a little bit, it hurts it in a way. But that's neither here nor there. You have the ability to do the quick page turn engine that they pulled from the Manga model, which was a Japanese exclusive with 32 gigs way back when. And I think this is really cool because pairing that with the fact that this is the quickest Kindle they've ever made, you can actually have multiple ways to navigate. You can swipe, you can do multi-tap like that. You have the ability to pinch and zoom to change your experience. And fun fact, this is the only time you'll ever see it go into an A2 mode, basically, because there's no toggle or user selectable A2 mode. This is really the only way to force it, where you see it kind of dithers away and it comes at a lower quality experience, but it gives you a faster movement on the screen. That's basically a speed mode. So Amazon doesn't have the ability to give you speed mode, so you'll see it here and you'll see it when you browse the web, but it's pretty much about it. Honestly, the Manga experience is great. It's a big enough screen that it fits in your hand, but it still gives you quite a large amount of screen real estate. So I would say it's about right where you would expect it to be when it comes to manga, and this is a little bit more useful when it comes to graphic novels, as they're traditionally North American graphic novels are color all the way through. The store is really cool because you get all these very nice color cover art thumbnails. I love this. It really does just make everything pop, and you can actually toggle between the Kindle store and the Audible store. And if something is on both stores, when you click on something, it'll say, would you like to also download the book? Would you like to also download the audiobook, etc.? It kind of, pushes you to and from both stores respectively. Now, when you do see these things that say $0, just be careful. We're not trying to out Amazon or anything, but you'll see right here, buy for $0 is huge and really tiny. It says with an Audible trial, auto renews at $14.95 a month after 30 days. And I think they've done surveys that says 70% of consumers in North America don't even know they have subscriptions they're paying for. So you really just got to be mindful of signing up for these things. But honestly, it has a really good layout, the store. And undoubtedly, Amazon has the most robust store experience in the game. You just can't find more than Amazon. And they just keep throwing more and more stuff at you. As you scroll, you scroll, you scroll. It's all going to be unlimited this and popular this and new this. So they just have so much content. You don't really need to look outside of that, although you can sideload books into this, which was something that we kind of unearthed because there was Reddit threads and forum threads saying that people are no longer able to sideload books on the Matcha, on the Kindle Paperwhite 12th generation, but that is pretty close to debunked, as we have directly showed you that you can just plug it in and sideload books over onto your unit. As we mentioned at the top of the hour, this is the other instance in which you can get into kind of a speed mode. Now, I have noticed that when you do this, only the middle refreshes and changes. So they isolated this area. You can see the top bar doesn't change at all. And you know what? The color's actually coming across pretty well, all things considered, across most places. Now, the thing that really takes a hit is the web browser's pinching and zooming. It's pretty poor compared to the rest of the instances in which you can pinch and zoom. This is actually one of the times where it performs quite poorly. But outside of that, there's not really much to know about the web browser. It does work pretty nicely. It shows a lot of the elements. You can see that our carousel moved by pretty well. The text pops, the colors have these nice kind of vibrant little thumbnails. Overall, it's a pretty good experience. There's not really anything in terms of a consumer electronics standpoint that is a wow factor, but in general, Amazon has always had an experimental browser, as you know. So for it to finally step outside of the experimental name and go into its own dedicated web browser is actually a step in the right direction for Amazon. I'm sure the editors will throw in some fancy montage shots, but before we get into the beauty shots, let's just look at it right here. This is looking pretty solid, and these are HD photos. We use these as kind of a blanket standardized control test on all of our devices, everything from Big Me to Onyx to everywhere in between. So we can see here that when we put these same things on the Remarkable, we saw there was a little bit of problems with how smooth the lines were on the Remarkable because they had this kind of paper-like gritty sandpaper film over it to give you a good writing experience, and Amazon doesn't have to worry about that because you're not really doing anything with a stylus on this, so you're just looking at it as is. And I would say it looks perfectly fine. The colors are great. The blacks are fairly nice, and you can change this in various ways. You can go over here to the drop down. You can turn off the glow light, of course. That makes things a little bit more dim and dark. And we can take advantage of this right here, which we showed you earlier on, which is standard and vivid color style. So pressing that, we can go into vivid, and it will less saturate things. We'll give you a close-up look at how it looks, because out of the gates, I didn't see too much of a difference between those two shots. So following this, you'll see a bunch of things, hopefully, that kind of clear that up, as well as some glow light tests. But you know what? Honestly, again, Amazon is a little bit late to the game when it comes to colors. So although it looks good for the layman, anyone that kind of knows about what's been going on in the industry since 2009 and subsequently the second generation, the second wave of color in 2019, would know that, yeah, this has kind of been done before, but never on a Kindle. Kindle Coversoft. To Amazon, it kind of feels like they thought they were breaking some sort of ground here. Paper-like appearance, full color screen, etc., etc. But to the rest of the industry, this is all things we've seen since 2019, 5 years before this very point in time. Yes, they're using Kaleido 3, but so are 27 other units currently available. The device is, in and of itself, boring, and in fact, on an internal UI level, they did nothing different to accommodate or even accentuate color. The entire device management is reserved for color style, balanced, and vivid. There's no contrast controls, there's no color depth, there's no color brightness, there's no speed mode. That's it. It feels like this was a missed opportunity, planned well but executed poorly. However, when you close your book and go back to the home screen, you suddenly remember, well, it's a Kindle. It's objectively the greatest line, most selling, most sought after, and the most synonymous word in the e-reader industry. There's no greater standardized, blanket, usable unit than a Kindle. And when you mix the two together, it ends up being really good. Thank you to Amazon for sending us this sample. Thank you to all of our users for watching our content on goodereader.com, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.